Hello radio enthusiasts, welcome to another video about early radio from the Roaring Twenties Antique Radio Museum. Once again we climb into our time machine and travel back to the year 1911. We're in Napa Valley, California, where two young men, Edwin S. Preedham and Peter Loritz Jensen, have decided to start a new company together, with the help of San Francisco financier Richard O'Connor. The name of their new company is the Commercial Wireless and Development Company. The first home of their new company would be located at 1606 F Street in Napa Valley. Edwin Preedham and his wife Hazel Moritzen, along with Peter Jensen and his wife Vivian Steves, would live at the location. The company's workshop, located behind the house, would be all of 800 square feet. Peter's brother Carl would also work for the company, along with two others, Carl Albertus and Hugh Sim. It would be 4 years later in 1915 when Preedham and Jensen would create their first invention, the moving coil loudspeaker. They would name their new invention Magnavox, which was Latin for great voice. 1 year later they would follow up with another invention, the all-electric tone arm and pickup. Then in 1917, Commander George Sweet of the U.S. Navy was driving by Preedham's and Jensen's company when he heard the loud voices coming from the house. He stopped in to see where all the loud voices were coming from. Commander Sweet was stationed at the Mare Island Naval Yard. Sweet was in charge of negotiating Navy contracts with the Federal Telegraph Company. The commander was very impressed with the Magnavox loudspeaker and suggested that Preedham and Jensen contact Frank Morgan Steers of the Sonora Phonograph Distributor Company, the West Coast distributor of Sonora phonographs. The companies decided to merge in the summer of 1917. The new company would be called Magnavox. Frank Steers would lead the new company, and investor Richard O'Connor would have a seat on the board of directors. This would be the new company's logo, which Magnavox kept until 1919. The company quickly outgrew its home on F Street in Napa Valley and was moved to San Francisco in 1918. The factory was much bigger, and it was there that the company invented the anti-noise communication system, seen here being tested by Peter Jensen. The innovation was sold to the Army and used in its new Air Corps. For the first time, its pilots could clearly communicate with other planes and ground forces. Magnavox quickly outgrew its San Francisco location, and in 1919 it moved to a new factory in Oakland, California. This new factory had been built especially for the company. It was located at 2701 through 2765 East 14th Street, which is now named International Boulevard. With the new headquarters came a new logo which would become iconic, a lion's head coming out of a loudspeaker. In 1924 would bring more inventions and another change at Magnavox. A new single-dial radio, the TRF-5, would be rolled out to the public. The TRF-5 was a 5-tube radio, 2 RF tubes, 1 detector, and 2 audio amplifier tubes. Another invention was created by Magnavox engineer Herbert Metcalf, the Type A radio tube. RCA still controlled the DeForest patents, and Magnavox did not want to pay RCA royalties on its tube sales, and Metcalf's tube was an attempt to get around RCA's patents. Metcalf's original tube patent was filed in February of 1924. There were problems with the original design, and other patents with modifications would follow, including this one from March of 1925. Advertisements for the tubes began in October of 1924 and continued until the end of 1926. At times, the tube and the TRF-5 would appear in advertisements together. In 1925, Richard O'Connor passed away. Peter Jensen left Magnavox to start his own company, which he did in 1927, the Jensen Radio Manufacturing Company. 2 years later, back at Magnavox, Richard A. O'Connor, son of Richard O'Connor, became president of the company. In 1930, Magnavox moved to Chicago, and the following year moved to Fort Wayne, Indiana. Former employee Arthur Stern stated that the company nearly went bankrupt during the Great Depression, but was saved by military contracts with the start of World War II. Magnavox would continue to make radios and phonographs, and later, in 1938, it would merge with Electro-Acoustics Products. During World War II, Magnavox would convert all its facilities to military production. On February 2, 1942, Magnavox was given the Navy E Award by the United States Navy. After World War II, the company would go back to manufacturing consumer electronics. In 1947, it opened the Greenville Cabinet Company in Greenville, Tennessee to build the cabinets for its products. Magnavox would build its first TV in 1948. 2 years later, Richard O'Connor would become chairman of the board at Magnavox. In 1952, Magnavox would open a much larger plant in Greenville to manufacture televisions. 1954 brought a new logo to Magnavox that traced the company's history. North American Philips Company bought a controlling interest in Magnavox in 1974, and within a year, Magnavox became a subsidiary of Philips. Over time, Magnavox would be broken up and sold off. The Magnavox company no longer exists, although a Japanese company, Funai, does use the name on some of its products under a licensing deal with Philips. Peter Jensen, co-founder of Magnavox, died of lung cancer in Western Springs, Illinois on October 26, 1961. He was 74 years old. His first marriage to Vivian Steves ended in divorce in 1927. Then in 1929, Jensen married Malvina Opliger. They had one child. Jensen's partner, Edwin Preetham, died on January 12, 1963 at age 81 in Oakland, California. Preetham stayed with the company he co-founded until he retired. He left behind 2 children, Jeanette and Edwin Jr. Richard Anthony O'Connor died in 1981 at the age of 81. O'Connor served as president of Magnavox from 1929 until 1950, and then became chairman of the board. He remained chairman until his retirement in 1962. In 1963, he was awarded the Distinguished Public Service Award by the United States Navy. The award is the highest honor a civilian can receive from the Navy. O'Connor left behind a son, Richard Edward O'Connor, who became an executive at Magnavox. Although the company is gone, it is not forgotten. A monument to the company, unveiled on May 18, in 1985, can be found in Napa, California, on First Street. It stands as a testament to 3 men who started with an idea and went on to build a company whose inventions changed the world and holds an important place in radio history. That's it for this video. There will be more to come as we continue to investigate the early history of the world's first mass medium, radio. Thanks for watching.